We go to Dallas, where NBA owner Mark Cuban of the Dallas Mavericks says diversity,
Bullshit.
equity,
Bullshit.
and inclusion
Bullshit.
is a good thing. Then Elon Musk chimes in, calls bullshit, and says,
Wokeness is hateful.
okay, you let me know when you have a woman who's short and Asian on your team.
Damn!
I'm Jazz Berganzo, and this.
Go fuck yourself.
So what's next? Happy Friday, guys. Jazz Berganzo, what's next? Your daily dose. Hope you guys are feeling good today, of course, as we go into the weekend. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I've said those words a number of times on multiple videos that I've done in the past, and I've said it in that tone because when you say those three words, they used to mean diversity. Diversity used to mean, thought. Diversity used to mean, opinion. But that's no longer the case. Diversity is what your pronouns are. What are no longer between your legs. My feelings. That is what diversity means. Well, you can say all three. Same goes with equity. Same goes with inclusion, forced inclusion. We've seen it in movies and TV and sports and music. But sadly, when it comes to implementing in business, even though the aforementioned are all businesses as well, that is where it gets stupid. And sadly, the employees, the workers, are the ones who are paying for it because it's being rammed down their throats, especially when it comes to hiring practices. We go to Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban, if you don't know, he is the owner of the Dallas Mavericks of the NBA. And of course, he is a big fan of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Or as like Jason Whitlock's like to call it, DIE, D-I-E. So of course he chirped off. And who steps in to clap back and to slap him down a few pegs? That would be one Elon Musk. And here we go. This comes out of Outkick. Elon Musk roasts Mark Cuban for his take on DEI. Elon Musk went after Mark Cuban on X on Thursday, exposing how Cuban's poor interpretation of DEI initiatives could easily lead to ridiculous outcomes. After the resignation of disgraced Harvard University President Claudine Gay, yes, she resigned, and of course in epic fashion, but of course you had some who were saying it was racisms, couldn't help themselves by weighing in on the discourse around diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in business. And it's so often that the case for Cuban, he's completely and purposefully missed the point. Cuban posted what he believes DEI means, which is, of course, not at all what it actually means in practice. To him, diversity is good. We're good businesses where others don't, to find employees that will put your business in the best possible position to succeed. You may not agree, Cuban said, but I take it as a given there are people who are various races, ethnicities, orientations, etc. that are regularly excluded from hiring considerations. By extending our hiring search to include them, we can find people that are more qualified. The loss of DEI-phobic companies is my gain. Elon Musk stepped in, responded by asking him, cool. So when should we expect to see a short, white Asian woman on the Mavericks? Ouch. As of late afternoon on Thursday, Cuban has yet to respond. Shocking. Elon makes a good point. Cuban lengthening thread on what he believes the DEI means is well and good and also disconnected from reality. What he actually describing is equality, giving people equal opportunities. Remember that? Not equal outcome, equal opportunity. To interview, regardless of skin color, gender, background, or other specific characteristics. What equity in the E in DEI actually means, though, is equality of outcome. Simply that means that if you're hiring, promoting, or retention practices, you enforce rules and processes to ensure the outcomes based on different ethnic and gender groups of the same. The white people you hire must be no less more successful than the black people you hire, etc. Unsurprisingly, though, that's not possible. Not realistic goal to achieve and nonsensical way of doing business. In short, it is the exact opposite of what Cuban described. But it is what Elon Musk described in his response. Equity in practice means the hires on the Dallas Mavericks basketball team must represent the demographics of society. and that their outcomes and players, how good or how bad they are, must be the same. That's literally what it means. If someone is getting more playing time or scoring more points, the playing field must be leveled to ensure that all players have the same results, which is impossible. But of course, that's not what Cuban has done with his roster, because it would be impossible to put together a competitive roster under those criteria. It would be like having the Chicago Bulls saying, you know what, we're going to draft 12 Michael Jordans to play on the team. Well, one, you can't, because there's only one Michael. There's only one GOAT. Sorry, there are going to be your Scottie Pippens, your Dennis Rodmans, and others on that team. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. I almost forgot. Ignored when they're not convenient. Musk's response, flippant as it was, is an accurate view of what DEI initiatives actually mean. When there's a competitive outcome at stake, Cuban is more happy to ensure that his team has the best possible players, regardless of skin color or ethnic background. There is, as he describes, nothing wrong with having a diverse workforce that represents your customers. It may be helpful for business, as he claims, but the Mavericks basketball team obviously does not reflect the demographics of the city of Dallas. It's somehow still successful. And Cuban has no problem with the business profiting off an inequitable structure, team composition, or racial makeup, exactly as Outkick's Clay Travis responded. Quote, DEI would destroy all sports teams. The U.S. men's basketball team is all black. Black men are 13% of the male population. If our basketball team looked like America, 10 black men would need to be fired and replaced with 10 inferior white, Asian, and Hispanic players. Not to say that white men, Asian players, or Hispanic players are inferior, but you just don't see them much in the NBA. Just saying. He may have said it happily, grant a short person to obviously interview and try for the Mavericks and advance his fairy tale version of DEI. But he never hired a short person to replace a useful player, even though what DEI would require in practice, equal outcomes, not opportunities. Unfortunately, this purposeful ignorance has become a feature of Cuban's personality, unwilling to challenge the current progressive consensus, straw man arguments, and false dichotomies. Travis also goes on. I've had a lot of hope for Cuban because he has money. And in the past, he was willing to be a unique thinker, a rebel owner even. But social media has gelded him. He doesn't make smart arguments or seems terrified of offending anyone. He's aged. He's become a coward. Ouch. Cuban invented his own take on what DEI should be. Musk represents what it actually is. Shockingly, Cuban has yet to figure out that yet, and based on his thread, he never will. Musk, again, strikes gold. That's gold, Jerry. Gold. The fact of the matter is that you have not just Mark Cuban, but you have other business leaders in the community who have bent the knee, bowed down and grabbed both ankles to the woke, spread their cheeks, and says, give it to me hard without the KY. That's what that is. And Musk called them out on it. The fact of the matter is DEI in its simplest form is racist. It is flat out racist. If you hire somebody, if you got 4 people in a room, Asian, Hispanic, black, white, they all went to college. They all graduated with great scores, their majors. Very smart individuals. But yet, instead of hiring the best one based off of, you can't really say experience because they're out of college. Best ideas. How to implement those ideas. If something goes wrong, something goes south, how do you deal with it? You give them scenarios, like most businesses do. But in Cuban's world, no, we can't have that. You, white man, there's too many of you. You're excluded. Hispanic, stop it. Asian, well, you may be the smartest out of the 4, technically, but sorry here. Black, candidate, you're hired. Same thing goes with a man and a woman. Well, man, you're too represented because you're too part of the patriarchy. So, woman, you're hired not based off your skills, not based off your experiences, not based off your schooling, but just because of what's between your legs. And then Don't get me started on all the trans bullshit, because then that's a whole different fucking category in its own. But yet you still have businesses bowing and kowtowing to this utter bullshit. And Cuban's not a dummy. He's not a dummy. Dude, you made your money during the dot-com boom, dude. You made your monies. You got you money, just like Elon does. But Elon's no dummy. Elon knows that DEI, this shit implemented in businesses, will eventually kill businesses. They will do it because then you are disregarding, you are basically eliminating the best people possible because you want to have, your fair outcomes instead of true equality, which means the best candidate possible gets the job. And with that being said, I'm Jazz Borganzo. This is What's Next. You want to see more like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share it, subscribe to it, hit that notification bell so you never miss a thing. Help the channel continue to grow. Share it as much as possible. And we'll see you next time. Peace.